Let's review the types of tissues while we have the Anatomage table. So remember the main types of tissue. There's epithelial tissue, there's connective tissue, there's muscular tissue, and there's nervous tissue. So the first one we're going to be talking about is that epithelial tissue. The types of epithelial tissue that we talked about. And remember, epithelial tissue is characterized by two aspects or two characteristics. The number of layers that it's in and the shape of the cell. So not one layer, it would be simple. More than one layer, it's going to be stratified. If it's going to be flat scale-like cells, it's going to be squamous. If it's long columnar, they're called columnar. So simple columnar, stratified columnar, simple squamous, stratified squamous. Or if it's cube-shaped. If it's cube-shaped, it's cuboidal. So you have flat scale-like cells for squamous. You have the long, tall cells like columns that you would see in a building. Those are columnar, and then the cubes, like the little cuboidal. So simple and stratified, cuboidal, squamous, and columnar. You also have pseudo-stratified columnar or ciliated columnar tissue, and you have transitional. And transitional is that stretchable type of columnar, and it's found in stretchable type of epithelial tissue, inside organs like your bladder. So we are going to look at some slides here, and I'm going to explain them. Okay, so first, this is a slide of the skin. And the first one we have, remember, all epithelial tissue connects to something called the basement layer. And the basement layer is all of this light pink stuff down here. And then all of this up here would be that stratified squamous. Notice how if I zoom in, you're going to see these flat, each one of these darker areas is going to be a nucleus, and they flatten and they squish apart. So as skin grows, it's going to press up against itself, and that stratified squamous. So stratified squamous tissue, the physiology or the function of that is to protect from abrasions. So our skin protects us from abrasions, and it's also on the inside of our mouth. So when we're eating chips and stuff like that, we're scraping off dead skin cells as well, because it's constantly remaking and rebuilding itself. So that's stratified squamous. So multiple layered, stratified, and squamous, flat scale-like tissues. Okay, so the next type of epithelial tissue I'm going to talk about is simple squamous. So this is a slide of an artery. So in here, right in here is going to be where the blood is going to be pushed through. So we're taking an artery and we're just kind of going to snip it like that, and we're going to look inside of it. And this is the wall of an artery. So right here you have smooth muscle. So all of this is that tunica media, and this is that smooth muscle. But on this outside, and I don't know if you can see it very well, I'll zoom in here, but that dark pink line on the outside of that smooth muscle is simple squamous tissue. And simple squamous tissue, what its function is to diffuse. And think of squamous, flat scale-like cells, simple, one layer. So you have one layer of flat cells, and it's going to be easy for things to diffuse in and out. In this case, we're in an artery, so in this case, we're going to be diffusing oxygen into our cells as we transport. This is an artery. We're going to be delivering oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, and it's also going to be able to diffuse carbon dioxide out into the blood so it can go back and get re-oxygenated. Another place this could be is in the air sacs of the lungs. So don't worry about that smooth muscle here, that's simple squamous, and I bet I can find a lung right here. Let's actually look at the inside of a lung and the air sacs. Here we go. So these are the air sacs of the lungs, so alveoli. And if you look right here, there's one layer right here. That's simple squamous tissue, and it's going to be able to easily dissolve oxygen in and carbon dioxide out if it's one layer of flat cells. So simple squamous function is to diffuse, and diffusion, in this case oxygen in the air, or in and out of the blood, and in and out of the alveoli, or the air sacs of the lungs. And one layer, flat scale-like cells, function is for diffusion. Our next tissue I'm going to talk about is simple columnar. Now this is a slide of the small intestine, and if you look, if I zoom in, you're going to see this lighter purple here. This right here. That's all simple columnar tissue. This darker blue stuff, that's all the basement layer. So if we look, you can actually really see it good right here. So if I get a pin here, right here is that cell. Right here is another one. Right here. So it has that distinct columnar tissue, or the columnar look to it. And each one of these darker areas is a nucleus of that cell. So this is I can't do that. This is a slide of the small intestine. So as food particles are moving through, these guys' function is to grab it and absorb it. They're absorbing those particles. They also, in the bronchioles of the lungs, they can also move particles that way, and absorb those particles before they get down into your lungs. But their main function here in the small intestine is to kind of absorb nutrients and macro molecules into the small intestines. And the final tissue that we have on this table is going to be simple cuboidal. So simple cuboidal, this is a slide of the renal tubules, or the kidney tubules. And if you look, I'm going to zoom in here as much as I can. So each one of these is the renal tubules. So if I highlight, right there I can see a cell, and see a cell there, there. So you're seeing, getting this distinct square shape and one layer of these cells. So each one of these darker spots is the nucleus of that cell. So what these guys are doing are, they're absorbing and they're secreting within these tubules. All right, guys, I hope you found that helpful in some way. If you did, leave a like, subscribe. Hopefully I get to make some more videos before I have to take the table back. So till next time, we'll see you later.